Aloha, everybody. We have stumbled into the book of First Corinthians. Now, First Corinthians is a letter that Paul wrote to a church in Corinth. Corinth is this crazy town. It is like Sin City. I mean, it's just total, complete nastiness. All kinds of wicked things are going on there. And Paul plants a church there. Now, Corinth, the church in Corinth, becomes this problem child. And out of all the churches that Paul established, it is the most jacked up. They have the most problems. And Paul writes in this letter just to try to correct them a little bit and try to get them on the right path. And the people in the church are arguing and fighting. And the people in the city are arguing and fighting. And Corinth is this wicked, nasty city. Does that sound familiar at all? Now, the Christians there are wrestling with what it looks like just to do life with God in the big bad city. And Paul is letting them know what it looks like. And he's letting them know how to be light in the middle of the darkness. And the people are trying to make sense of it all. And they're trying to, okay, should I do this? Should I do that? They're trying to make it make sense. And Paul lets them know that if they're trying to make it make sense, they're never going to figure it out. If they're trying to put it in a box, if they're trying to compartmentalize it, they're never going to figure it out. Verse 21 in chapter 1 says this, "For in God's deep wisdom, He made it so that the world could not even begin to comprehend Him through its own style of wisdom. In fact, God took immense pleasure in rescuing people of faith through the foolishness of the message we preach." Now, the cross makes no sense. It's foolishness to a lot of people. It makes no sense whatsoever. The way that God rescued us makes no sense. Freedom through capital punishment? What? That makes no sense. But that's the way God planned it. It's really cool. Now, not only does His message not make any sense, but God chooses to use people that don't make any sense. God works best through people who don't know everything. He works best through people who don't have it all figured out. He doesn't look for the biggest and the best and the brightest. He uses just people that make no sense whatsoever. In verse 27, it says this, "Celebrate this. God selected the world's foolish to bring shame upon those who think they are wise. Likewise, He selected the world's weak to bring disgrace upon those who think they are strong. God selected the common and the cast off, whatever lacks status, so He could validate the claims of those who think the things are significant. So it makes no sense for any person to boast in God's presence. Instead, credit God with your new situation. You are united with Jesus, the Anointed. He is God's wisdom for us and more. He is our righteousness and holiness and redemption. As the Scripture says, if someone wants to boast, he should boast in the Lord." I am so glad that God is able to work with things that don't make any sense, because I don't make sense. Very seldom does life make sense. But guess what? That doesn't surprise God. That doesn't scare God. That actually gives Him space to sizzle. That gives Him room to work when life doesn't make sense. And when we acknowledge that, we freely admit that we don't make any sense either, He steps in and He puts it all together, and it's an incredible thing. Does something not make sense in your life right now? Welcome to the club. You're in real good company. Just step out of the way, let God have the space to sizzle, watch Him work, and it'll be incredible. God bless you guys. Giddy up.